All right, the time is 4:30, February 13th, 2024. We will convene the Board of Commissioners for Skagit PUD meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so this time I would be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 4.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda is adopted. This time we have time for audience comments. If you're a member of the audience tonight wishing to speak, step to the podium. Seeing all staff here for that. Let's look at Zoom. Looks like the same situation there. So with that, we will go into the general manager's report with Kevin.
Here we are again. Good evening, commissioners. We got a couple items. One, we continue to make progress on the water rights transfer issue with the local irrigators. General Manager George Sadu has met with Jenna Freibel with the Skagit Drainage and Irrigation District Consortium to discuss agreement where the PDD can temporarily and seasonally transfer water rights to the irrigators without a state declared drought. The seasonal agreement would allow the irrigators to use the water rights in case the in-stream flow rule takes an effect in the summer and the irrigators are unable to use their water rights for pumping. So George will be have some further details to discuss at our March 12th meeting. So we're making progress. And then, as you can see, the building's going up out there. That's looking pretty good. We'd like to organize a commissioner's tour on the new building, maybe at the next meeting on February 27th. That's workable for you, perhaps before the meeting, like at 3:30. So if you're interested,
Definitely.
Yep.
For sure.
3:30-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be perfect.
I'll get you out of Anacortes, okay? And
Yeah. Give me out before everybody else tries to leave work.
okay, we'll kind of put that on the agenda and Shannon will let people know. So, okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, perfect. And that's my update.
Very good.
All right.
Pretty short.
All right, so it looks like we're up next. We have Jay with the safety department updates.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
See who can go faster here.
So just a very brief update of some of the things that we've been up to, especially with the change in the calendar year. We've had 4 new faces added to our safety committee, and I wanted to discuss them a little bit. Gary Broughton, Courtney Schilling, Mackenzie Yant, and Cody Ingberg have all volunteered, been nominated, and voted into the safety committee. Of note, Gary Broughton takes over the chair position from Court Wilson, who was in engineering. Courtney Schilling takes over the engineering position from Court. So you can see this is kind of it's a very holistic group effort. And so anyway, the safety committee this year has been left in very good hands by their predecessors. Mackenzie Yant is taking over for Sharon Mattia. And Cody Engberg is replacing Brad Washington from the maintenance crew. And Brad had served on the committee for 13 years. So some fresh eyes from Cody. So just wanted to kind of show you the makeup. As I said, made up of volunteer employees. We have 6 of them. They are governed by, to some degree, by our safety policy 1026, and also by our safety procedure procedure 3004, which actually is the rules and the expectations for what our safety committee actually does and how they conduct themselves. This is a general description of what they do. They actually are steering to the general manager and to the management team about the posture and about our procedures having to do with safety. So they help form a lot of the procedures that we actually deploy out in the field and in our offices and in our conduct. So it's a very unique sub-organization within the district. So I'm very proud to be a part of that. They're responsible for analyzing incidences that cause loss, injury, and lost time within the district. Their job is to try to find the causes for those and then come up with innovative ways to actually prevent repetition of those things. That way we don't see the same types of losses over and over again, which is key to some other things I'm going to talk about here in a moment. They're also responsible for being a voice box for the groups that they represent and bringing that to the wider body. So that way there's different perspectives, different perceptions, and different ideas that are brought forward to actually try to solve some of our stickier safety and health issues that we might experience here at the PUD. They also serve as a collection point for safety and health concerns from the groups they represent. And then they also assist me with actually trying to improve our overall programs and also helping to prioritize what I do. So a very important committee, and I'm very grateful to have them help me. This is what they've had a direct or an indirect hand in a lot of cases with several things that the safety office has done, including reducing our workers' compensation costs. There's a direct correlation between the amount of work they've done with analyzing the incidences that we've had, preventing repetition, and also a drop in our workers' compensation rates over the last 4 and 5 years. So been very, very effective. And I'm going to show you some data here in a minute that kind of holds that up. We also had a very lucky year in 2022 where we had absolutely no OSHA reportable incidences. That's very, very rare to have in any industry. So we're very proud of that. And it's very hard to follow that up too. So just kind of want to point that out. They've helped me actually stand up a shakeout earthquake drill that we do every year here at the PUD. We have for about the last 4 years. And we plan, once we actually get really good at that, at doing other drills and building on top of that experience and getting better and better and better as time moves forward, and being a little more expansive, incorporating things like fire drills, and then and maybe some other types of drills that we don't think of right now. So this is largely driven by them. And they also, like I said earlier, they're very important for reviewing and helping promulgate safety policy and procedure. And they've helped revise or write 2 policies, 9 internal policy sets of procedures, and also 2 updates to existing procedures that we have. So very, very, it's very, very busy with administration. A little hard to see, but last year we had, I don't know if I've explained this to the full board before, but 1.0 for an experience modification rate when we talk about our industrial insurance is considered to be baseline. If you were a brand new business in Washington State, L&I would issue you this number, and then everything you do after that is based upon your actual performance within their insurance plan. Anything below 1.0 is considered to be very good. Anything above that, you need to do some work in order to get below the industry average in the state. You can see our trend line has gone down below 1 steadily over the last few years. It's a fact I'm very proud of. Last year, our EMR was 0.86, so it was already good. This year, 0.64, which is actually extraordinary. So
10-year rolling average, or how does it?
it's a 5-year look back on your actual performance to determine that. So it does look heavily into the past. So this isn't entire, this is very much a lagging indicator. So it is a measurement of how you've done over the few previous years.
That 0.64 is heavily impacted by that 0 incidents.
Yes, it is. But it's also reinforced mostly the weights of the years that immediately preceded are weighted higher than the ones that are further in the past. There is a magical formula. I don't fully understand it, I'll admit it. But I'm very proud of this. It takes a long sustained effort to actually do this. So I'm very happy with that. And I keep my eye on the trend more than I do the bumps in the valleys in this thing. Similarly is our days away from work and restriction rate, the DART rate. Okay. This is one that you'll classically see safety officers talk about, and it is subject to a lot of peaks and valleys. That's why the trend line is so important with DART rate. Right now, we average just a little over 2.5 days away from work for 200,000 hours of work actually done in a given year. So when you look at 16 hours of work lost over that massive amount of hours that are put in, it's actually quite low, and we continue to trend down, which is the point. So in this, again, it's all part of the entire organization and the safety committee, putting more than one set of eyes on these things and actually coming up with innovative ways to avoid repetition. That really is the key to both of these things. So I'm very proud of that effort, and I'm proud to bring it to you tonight. Also kind of that, to that end, inside the information part of the package for tonight is an update to SPMP 3010, which is our confined space, safety program. We've made some linguistic changes in there that, there are a couple things that are in there. Is one, it strengthens and clarifies the language on how the PUD administers to contractors who are going to be going into PUD controlled confined spaces, and what the responsibilities of the PUD, the contractor, and the employees who control them are. The other one, which has more language, is the expansion of the retrieval requirements that LNI places upon confined space entry. It used to be we only had to use retrieval gear in a few selected spaces in the district because we had agreements with fire departments and other rescue agencies to help bolster our safety and our response if something were to happen in a space. Unfortunately, those levels of support have vaporized over the last couple of years. So our response has been to go out and actually proliferate the amount of retrieval gear we have, increase the amount of training that we do, and to actually strengthen our requirements to have retrieval in almost all of our confined spaces. Not everyone, but almost all. So you can see the numbers here that increased. We went from having roughly 110 that required retrieval to 850. And that's out of a total count of about 1,200 confined spaces total. So it's a lot. So we got a lot of work to do, and our people are already experienced in the changes that come with this program, and they're already ready to go. They've been trained and they're chomping at the bit to get to this and have this be their new normal. So it's kind of nice having the practice ahead of the policies. So, but that's the culture we're in. Let's see here. And that is, in a nutshell, everything I needed to present to you tonight. Do you have any questions? Excellent. Thank you guys very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so next up we have, looks like a discussion item on the Mount Vernon High School Hydroelectric Energy Recovery Project. Mark.
So we were planning, initially we were thought we'd be a little bit further ahead with this, and I think you're all familiar with the micro hydro program up at the school. We applied for full funding for that program through a number of grants, and we were approved through the Department of Commerce grant. We got a TransAlta grant recently for an additional $240,000, and then we're getting the balance of the project paid for through the Inflation Reduction Act through a tax credit. But the upshot is that it's fully paid for. And now that we have the funding in place, we're putting together the details for the project. How the arrangement is going to be with the power, with the with the school for the operations and maintenance part of it. And generally, there are two concepts that we're looking at. One is that the full amount of the recovered energy would go to the school district through their net meter, and then they would reimburse us for our electrical costs at our site. So I guess foundationally, we would be getting the full use or the full benefit of the project as much as we could maximize under current net metering rules. So if we were doing this project independently, we would net meter at our site. The most amount of benefit that we could get from that would be equal to the power that we use. So PSC will not pay a customer for net metering over, above their use. So that's the best that we could get out of it. School, on the other hand, will consume the full amount of the power that's generated. So through an interlocal, we can partner with them. They do the net metering, and then we just bill them for our annual usage. Right now, that's about $4,500. And we are expecting that to go down substantially when we relocate the server from there to a new location. The other option that we're looking at, which is a little bit more of a long shot, would be to place the net meter on our property. Send the power into, take our amount out of it, send the balance of the recovered energy into the grid. Give PSC the green energy credits, and then let the school virtual net meter the excess power that we don't use. So it would be kind of a paper exercise more than anything else, but with net metering rules the way they are, that's a little bit more of a long shot. The reason I'm here today is to let you know that we're going to have Sam and I went, and Sam did a real good job presenting to the school board this last week. And we kind of updated them on the project and the two options. They're still remain receptive to the project. And I guess the upshot here is that we are going to be going through these details, and we're going to be bringing forward an interlocal to for your approval at some point. So if you have any questions or there's any kinds of administrative things that you think you want wrapped into that interlocal, we should get those, bring them to George or Sam or I, and so that we can discuss them and wrap them into an interlocal. But right now,
PSC, or obviously they would prefer the carbon capture, whatever credit that they want.
yeah,
But
so
they're receptive to both plans.
it's a long shot on the virtual net metering part of it. The other one where the school would do the net metering on site, that's pretty clean.
Okay.
That part's pretty
Yeah.
clean.
There's no problem with us accepting financial reimbursement for our portion
No.
of the, okay.
No, so far what we've looked at, so we're doing some legal review on that as well, but as far as like there's no, that is our benefit, that we would normally get. We're not asking for more than that. We're not asking for less. And by taking that, we have some operational costs, right? That we would normally have to operate a PRV. We're also going to be operating this thing. So we get some of that is, recovered. And really the balance of the electricity is more of it's a waste product, really, because we can't sell it on the open market. We can't surplus it and let somebody else buy it. It's just, there's no benefit to it. If it goes back into the grid and we don't get a price, any, economic gain from it, it's just, a waste as well. So we're trying to waste it to the high school. So if you have questions or there's things that you want to include in the interlocal, let us know. But we'll have more on this as it kind of comes together.
I think my biggest hope is that we're able to, realize the benefit as well. And as long as there's a legal avenue to do that. And
Yeah.
accept reimbursement through an interlocal for our power consumption, then
Yeah,
I'm happy with that.
I think, that's a really attractive element of this, latest proposal. And
Cause that's perpetual incentive, not just the one time, doesn't cost us to input it, but it benefits both parties. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
All right, looks like, are you up again for the easement?
I am.
So this is easement quick claim deeds and hold harmless agreement for Flightline Road Port of Skagit project.
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember, it was probably, I think it's in here, it was December 2022. We were, the port had a project that they were looking for occupancy. They didn't have all of their documents and ducks in a row exactly perfect. We gave them kind of a general path forward by presenting us with a pretty open easement. And we never recorded that easement, but because we had the full expectation that they were going to clean it up, get some better legal descriptions and put it together. This is kind of the finalizing of those documents that needed to be taken care of. There is a easement relinquishment and a hold harmless agreement. The hold harmless agreement is for areas where we have where they are taking ownership of the easement and the pipe is staying in the ground. So we don't want anything to do with, not that there's a hazard, it's just best if we sever ourselves from that, the ownership of that. And then the easements, there's a portion of this where we have an existing easement that's shown on your map. The pipe is actually outside of our existing easement on that, so it cleans that, all of the easements up and gets them a proper legal description. So we are looking forward to, we're requesting approval on the easement relinquishment and the hold harmless agreement.
All right, any questions? Looking for a motion to authorize the general manager to execute quitclaim deed and hold harmless agreements, which relinquishes portions of 2 easements previously granted to the PUD under Skagit County Auditor Files 839509 and 2009-072-90064, and authorize the general manager to execute the quitclaim deed, which relinquishes an unrecorded deed granted to the PUD by the Port of Skagit, December 21st, 2022.
So motion.
Second.
Motion a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Step Brian with the annual report of delinquent LUD assessments.
Yeah.
So tonight, I just give you an update of the status of our LUDs and answer any questions that you might have concerning them. We continue to make slow progress. We have 9 outstanding LUDs remaining. And you can see on page 21, maybe Nick, the chart, one more, yeah, oh, sorry. Oh, that's too small, sorry about that. But of the 9, we have 3 that are actually should be completed, but we have 1 or 2 people that remain on those LUDs that continue to not pay off their assessments, and we continue to accrue penalties and interest on those. So there's 4 parcels now that are delinquent in those 3 LUDs. What we've found is that our best way to conclude these is to have the parcels change hand, either through a sale or having relocation. The people that are continually not paying have been contacted. We've gone through legal action with them, and the courts rule in our favor, but we still can't relocate them or have them sell because of the Homestead Act. So we continue to monitor it. We watch and get notified of foreclosures. We do have one that just was foreclosed on in January, so we'll update our records, contact the new owner, and we will be working with the new owner to continue payment or to make payments on those. And that really has been our best method of payment for people that are not paying, I should say. This year we had 11 parcels that paid off in full. That's up from last year. We had 10, but we do have a few more that are now 2 full years behind. It went from 16 last year to 19, and the actual assessments and penalties grew from 54,000 to the $61,000. So we continue to work them. We continue to contact them. It happens infrequently, but title companies don't always notify new buyers, and that's usually when we get notified as the new buyers. And so then we work with the title companies, the seller and the new buyer, to get paid in full, usually, hopefully, and Gary and AP is the one that usually is doing that. And I just bring you the status. We don't have to take any action other than to update the board. If the board chose to take legal action, we would enlist Peter Gilbert again, but we would need you to authorize that, and I don't recommend that at this time. We can spend dollars fighting them and not get really any further than we are currently. So Hopefully over time, these will clear up. The final expiration on the last one is the Man Road one, which goes all the way out to 2036. So these have long tails to them, and we will have to continue to monitor them. Hopefully they'll get paid off earlier if land continues to change. But that's the status, and I'll answer any questions that you might have or concerns. New direction. We offer payment plans for people if that makes it easier, and we'll do that. It's a little more work, but it spreads out their payments, and eventually they'll get them caught up. And so we offer that to people that are behind. But that's where we stand.
All right, yeah, any questions?
All right, we'll see you in a year.
Thank you, Brent.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, it looks like we are on to the information portion of the agenda. That SPMP that was mentioned, number 3010 is in there for taking a look at. Judy, Reservoir reports, recent news articles. Any commissioner comments tonight?
Just a quick question. Andrew, will you be attending the Dan Hill tomorrow?
No.
No, okay.
No, I'm not gonna-
Not gonna be able to make that either.
No, we just don't have a lot before. I mean, it's great. I've been down there once already and met with the legislators, and
Yeah.
our concerns have been conveyed, so save a trip.
There are, I know the 39th district, I think most actually the districts are gonna have their town halls pretty soon as well. So I'm not able, I'll be out of town for the one up in Concrete for the 39th, and then there's another one, I think it's Snohomish for the 39th as well, but. And then I did have a couple customer complaints and concerns regarding the leak policy, and just digging more into the leak adjustment policy. I do want to bring it up for a discussion in a future meeting. Just our previous leak adjustment back in 2020 and to what it has become now, and just kind of getting a better understanding for how we got to where we are now, and just seeing if there's a way we can make it more equitable, but also protect the PUD legally as well. So just for discussion, no action, but maybe action.
All right. Anything else?
Nothing further.
So with that, we will adjourn at 4:57.